Hi everyone and welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel and today I'm going to talk about all the books I am hoping to read in the month of June. I've got a fun mix here. About half of these books are recent releases in 2021. The other half are some backlist books, but I am very excited to talk about all of these. I will do my best to explain what each book is about. I actually had to go back and reread some synopses on these books because I couldn't remember. And even after reading some of the synopsi, whatever that word is, plural. I feel like I still don't have a really good grasp of what each book is about, but I will do the best I can. Some of them may be a little vague, but let's go ahead and jump in. Some of these I'm going to be holding up my Kindle with a picture because I don't have the physical book. And the first one is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. I am quite excited about this one because it sounds like it has some essence of Peter Pan in there. We are following this girl named Wendy who lives in a small town, and nearby are some woods, and when she was younger, her and her brothers got lost in the woods, or something happened to them in the woods. They disappeared for a certain amount of time, and she's the only one that came back out. Now, years later, the same kind of thing is happening. There's little boys that are disappearing in these woods. Nobody knows what's going on, and people start turning to Wendy for answers, saying, hey, you got lost in the woods with your brothers, but you came back out. What happened in there? And she's trying to escape kind of all these accusatory fingers pointing towards her, and people wanting to know what's going on with the kids. And she runs into this boy named Peter. Get it? Peter, Wendy, Lost in the Neverwoods. And she ends up teaming up with him to try to find out what's going on in these woods, and she has to face her fears and go into the woods herself to try to figure out what's going on. So it sounds really, really interesting. I love Peter Pan, and I love the idea of kind of infusing some of Peter Pan into the story. I don't know how much of it has the kind of like Peter Pan stuff in it, but it just sounds like a really interesting story and a lot of fun, and I love some spooky woods. So I think it sounds like a great time. Let's see, this next one here is one I'm actually currently reading, and I'm really loving it so far. Oh, my dog just came upstairs and he's panting hard, so if you can hear him, I'm sorry. And that is House of Holo by Krystal Sutherland. First of all, this cover is absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of Wilder Girls. That cover is just so pretty, just sort of like this almost creepy looking face with flowers sprouting up out of it. It's like haunting and pretty at the same time. In this story, we are following these three sisters who sounds kind of similar actually to Lost in the Neverwoods in this way. These three sisters who disappeared without a trace. They were missing for a month and then they reappeared, and none of them remember what happened. They're completely blank. They don't know if they were kidnapped or what happened to them. And they've always, ever since then, had some oddities about them. They all used to have really dark hair, and their hair all went completely pretty much blonde or white. And they also all lost their blue eyes, and their eyes ended up becoming black. And they had just some peculiarities about them. And now kind of moves to the future. And all these sisters now, a few of them have grown up and kind of moved out of the house. One of them, the youngest one, is still in high school and finishing up her high school years. And then her eldest sister goes missing, and they're having to delve back into this time in their life, going back to thinking about this time where they went missing and this missing time of not knowing where they went. And as their older sister disappeared to the same place that they disappeared to all those years ago. And it's sort of like a mystery. It's got a lot of really dark fairy tale elements, which I really love about it. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying it so far. So it's dark and spooky. I know that there is some body horror in here as well. There's been a little bit already, but I've heard like there's some parts that get pretty body horror-ish. So there's some parts that might make you gag a little bit, possibly. Haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's probably coming because I'm only about halfway through. But I'm really liking it, and it's a really cool new release, and I think it's really neat. All right, this next one has one of the most beautiful covers I've seen. I think it's really unique and really gorgeous, and it is called The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan. I mean, just look at that. It is beautiful. This is one of the books that I'm having a really hard time describing what it's about. We're following these two sisters, and this takes place in a dystopian / utopian setting in a way. One of the sisters is on an island stranded by herself, and she doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't really truly remember who she is. She just knows that she has his sister, and she wants to get back to her, and she's trying to figure out how to get back to her. The other sister is living in this society that is all completely eco-friendly. They kind of live in like this domed area, very futuristic. I've heard it's very sci-fi. And this girl is wondering what happened to her sister. She knows that her sister disappeared, and a lot of people assume that she is dead, but she wants to find out what happened to her sister. So it's kind of about going back and forth between them and how they're going to find each other again. And that's really all I know about it. There's a little bit more description in the synopsis, but I still find it very vague. But I like the idea of having some sci-fi elements. I like the idea of these two sisters having to find their way to each other and just sort of like this futuristic setting. I think it's going to be really interesting. So I'm excited about it. It's on a lot of people's most anticipated reads list for 2021. So I'm excited to be a part of the buzz with that one. All right, this next one also was completely an unexpected book. I was not expecting this to come out at all because I thought it was done. So have you all heard of the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson, which is a trilogy? And I thought it was done. And it is, but she's starting a new series, but with the same characters, you guys. It's a new mystery. It's so exciting. It's called The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. We are following Stevie Bell again from the first series, our girl that loves to crack old crimes and loves crime dramas and just loves crime podcasts and stuff like that, and wants to be a detective and wants to crack all these cold cases. And at the end of her time from the first 3 books, she's going back home after her school year thinking she's gonna have a boring summer, and then this summer camp calls her and says, hey, we have sort of this old murder mystery thing that happened so long ago that was never solved. We're wanting to do a little podcast thing about it, and we would love for you to be a part of it and to help us kind of piece together different things to kind of put together this podcast. And she agrees to it and brings her friends along with her, and she delves into another mystery, another cold case. And I'm really excited to join these characters again. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just to keep this video short enough, I'm not going to talk about the first book, Truly Devious, and explain that too much. But if you like kind of like intricate YA crime solving kind of stuff, then I think you'll really, really like this. I think it's fun. I kind of assume you have to read the Truly Devious series to read this, but I don't know. It may stand on its own enough. I'll let you know after I read it if you have to read the first 3 first. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited about it because I wasn't expecting to have any more from these characters. So I'm excited to see some more. So I think it's going to be great. All right, let's look at my list here. Okay, this is one I have put off for the longest time to read. It is a BookTube darling, and it's definitely a backlist one, and I'm excited to finally get to it, and I'm trying not to let the hype get to me, and that is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I am pumped about this and a little scared at the same time. If you happen to have not heard of this series before, it takes place in a utopian / kind of, if you think about it, dystopian future where death has been conquered. Nobody dies anymore. Nobody dies from sickness. Nobody dies from old age. Nobody dies. Which is great, right? Everybody lives and it's wonderful, and like we've conquered sickness and everything. Only problem is, you think about it, overpopulation, right? Nobody's dying, but people are still being born. So you got a lot of people. Enter in the Scythes. These are people that, as you can see here, they look like the Grim Reaper. They're the people that actually go out and remove people from the face of the earth. They go out and kill people. They're very specific and meticulous about it. It's not just at random, but they do this to help keep the population in check, which is disturbing to think about. I think there's like a creepy AI thing involved as well, so I think it's going to be like dystopian, science fiction-y, but it's utopian at the same time because nobody dies anymore. So anyways, it's just a really interesting concept. I'm excited to read it. It is a trilogy, and I'm excited to jump into it and finally see what all the fuss is about. So I'm pumped to jump into it. And I haven't read like a good dystopian in a while. I always think of Hunger Games. I want just like a good dystopian. That sounds fantastic. All right, I got 3 more for you. Let me pull up the picture for this next one here. It is a very summery middle grade, which I think will be a lot of fun. This one's called Maybe a Mermaid by Josephine Cameron. I'm not sure why the picture's pulling up this way. It's smaller, but it's such a cute cover. And this one just sounds like a perfect summer read. So we're following this little girl who is constantly on the move. Her mom and her have never really settled into one place for very long. And so because of that, she hasn't really made any good friends. And she's decided that she is giving herself the goal of making a really, really true, she calls a true blue friend for the summer. And her mother end up moving to this small town where in this town there is a rumor or old folk tale about a mermaid living within the waters. I'm not sure if it's like an oceanside town or I don't know. It looks foresty, so maybe it's more like of a big lake. I don't know. But anyways, it's just about her. I don't know if the mermaid's real. Maybe the mermaid would be real. I don't know. But it's about her and just wanting to make friends during the summer and finally kind of make some roots. And it just sounds cute. I can't really say much else other than that because after reading the description, it just sounds adorable, but I'm still not 100% sure what's going to happen. So there we go. It sounds like a cute summer book, and I'm all about it. All right, I got two more for you. Both are middle grades. One of them is called The Middler by Kirsty Applebaum. This cover, I think, is so gorgeous. It's like haunting, honestly. It looks a little creepy. You've got like this graveyard thing going on, and it just sounds interesting. So this takes place in kind of like an alternate present or future. I don't know. It's about this little girl, I believe here, and she is living in this society where you stay within the walls. You're not supposed to go outside the walls. They're told that like everything outside the walls is evil. I don't know if they're like told like there's monsters outside the walls or whatever. And this girl, her older brother, is going to be a part of the army. He wants to become a soldier and be a hero and to help fight against whatever's on the other side of the wall. And this little girl, she just feels like she's not seen. She's the middle child in her family, and she feels like she's just not as important until she ends up kind of seeing somebody that's on the other side of the wall. And initially, she thinks gonna like report them and try to see if she can be a hero. But then she starts to get to know this other person. And it's kind of that thing of like, she's always been told like everything on the other side of this wall is bad and terrible. And then she ends up becoming friends with somebody else on the other side of the wall. So it sounds really sweet. It sounds like it might deal with maybe some heavy topics as well. I just think it's going to be really, really interesting. It's a very short book, and I'm hoping it's as heavy hitting as it sounds. I'm hoping it has some really good, strong emotional moments. I feel like it's going to. So I'm excited about this one. The last one sounds so beautiful, and I'm so excited. And it's called The Spinner of Dreams by K.A. Reynolds. I have read another K.A. Reynolds book recently, and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of it. What was the name of it? The Land of Yesterday. I was looking at it over there. The Land of Yesterday. Let me grab it real quick. I read this one relatively recently and really, really loved it. It was like a mashup of Coraline and Alice in Wonderland, and it dealt with grief, and it was so good. So this one sounds a little bit more, it's definitely still fantastical, but this one sounds almost more fairy tale-ish. We're following this girl who lives in this kingdom. I think maybe she's a princess. I'm not entirely sure. And she is cursed. I'm not sure what her curse is. See, I told you I'm not going to be very good at describing these, but she ends up having to set out on a quest through a labyrinth to get to the center of this labyrinth to be able to hopefully get this curse lifted off of her. It sounds like it has some anxiety rep in it. It sounds like our main girl has some issues with anxiety, and it just sounds very majestic and wonderful and beautiful. I'm very excited about it. Sorry about the doorbell. There's lots of fun noises in this video, I gotta say. So that's the last book there. I am really excited about all of these. I'm excited about some of these backlist books and these new releases. I'm really pumped about all of them. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to tell you what I think about them. Let me know down below if some of these books are on your TBR or if you've read them before. I would love to hear your thoughts on them. On this side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel, follow me on my book journey. On this side of the video over here is another video if you want to watch another one right now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock, and don't forget to keep reading. Bye!